Hey everyone. So you've worked your entire career, saved diligently for retirement, and now you're thinking about moving abroad. Maybe it's by choice, maybe circumstances are pushing you in that direction. Either way, you're probably wondering, what the heck happens to all my retirement money? Well, here's the thing. Your money can follow you across borders, but there are some serious gotchas you need to know about. And trust me, getting this wrong could cost you thousands in penalties or lock you out of your own accounts. Today we're diving deep into what happens to your 401k, IRA, and other retirement savings when you leave the US, whether you're planning a dream retirement in Costa Rica or dealing with more complicated circumstances. Quick legal note, this is purely educational content, folks. Always consult with qualified professionals for your specific situation. All right, first things first. Let's make sure we're all on the same page about what we're dealing with here. Most of you probably have one or more of these. A 401k from your employer, maybe a traditional or Roth IRA, or perhaps an old school pension. Each one has different rules, and those rules matter big time when you're trying to access them from another country. Here's some good news though. You generally can keep these accounts when you move abroad. Your 401k doesn't just disappear when you cross the border, but, and this is a big but, managing them becomes way more complicated. If you have a self-directed IRA, you're in pretty good shape for international access. But if your 401k is still with your old employer, yeah, that can get messy real quick, especially when you're trying to deal with plan administrators from 8,000 miles away. Speaking of messy, let's talk about actually accessing your accounts from abroad. Picture this. You're settled into your new life in Portugal, you go to log into your retirement account, and boom, you're locked out. Why? Because your bank's security system thinks someone's trying to hack your account from a foreign country. Fun, right? This happens more than you'd think. Some financial institutions will literally freeze your access within 60 days if they detect foreign logins. The big players like Schwab and Interactive Brokers are usually cool with expats, but smaller providers? Not so much. And don't get me started on two-factor authentication. If you're relying on SMS codes sent to a US phone number that doesn't work internationally, yeah, you're gonna have a bad time. Pro tip: switch to app-based authentication like Google Authenticator before you move. And seriously, get yourself a US mail forwarding service and maybe give someone you trust power of attorney. Trust me on this one. Now let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, taxes. Here's the deal. If you're under 59 and a half and you need to withdraw money, you're still getting hit with that lovely 10% early withdrawal penalty, plus regular income tax. Doesn't matter if you're sipping pina coladas in Mexico or dealing with an emergency in Germany. But wait, there's more. If you have a traditional 401k or IRA, every dollar you withdraw gets taxed as regular income. Roth accounts are better. If you've had them for 5 years and you're over 59 and a half, those withdrawals can be completely tax-free. And here's where it gets really fun. State taxes. Even after you move abroad, some states will still try to tax you. Looking at you, California. You need to formally establish that you're no longer a resident, and some states make this surprisingly difficult. The key takeaway? Plan your withdrawals carefully, and definitely talk to a tax pro who knows international stuff. Okay, here's something that catches a lot of people off guard. The IRS can automatically withhold 30% of your retirement withdrawals if you live outside the US. 30%. That's not a typo. But before you panic, there's good news. Many countries have tax treaties with the US that can reduce or even eliminate this withholding. You just need to file Form W-8BEN to claim these benefits. Countries like Canada, Mexico, and the Philippines have pretty favorable treaties. But you need to know about this stuff before you move, not after you're already getting hammered with withholding. The U.S. also has systems in place to prevent double taxation, things like foreign tax credits and various exclusions. But again, you need to know how to use these tools properly. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room: sanctions and restricted countries. If you're planning to move to Cuba, Iran, North Korea, Syria, or certain parts of Ukraine, we need to have a different conversation entirely. The U.S. has comprehensive sanctions on these places, and accessing your retirement money could be extremely difficult or impossible. But here's what's interesting. Even in non-sanctioned countries, many expats run into issues. Maybe your bank doesn't have good relationships with foreign institutions, maybe currency exchange is a nightmare, or maybe you just can't find anyone who understands expat finances. The key is researching this stuff before you move. Don't assume everything will just work out once you get there. All right, let's get practical. When you actually need to transfer large amounts internationally, it's not as simple as Venmoing your friend. First, expect delays. Large international transfers get scrutinized by both U.S. and foreign banks. We're talking compliance checks, documentation requirements, the whole 9 yards. Then there's currency exchange. If you're moving to a country with a volatile currency, the value of your retirement funds could fluctuate significantly between when you initiate the transfer and when it arrives. And don't forget about FATCA and FBAR reporting requirements. These are serious compliance obligations that can result in hefty penalties if you mess them up. Foreign banks have to report U.S. account holders to the IRS, and you might need to file annual reports for any foreign accounts over $10,000. Bottom line, work with professionals who understand this stuff. Don't try to get creative with structuring transfers to avoid reporting requirements. That's a one-way ticket to trouble with the IRS. So how do you protect yourself? Let me give you some practical strategies. First, set up a durable power of attorney with someone you absolutely trust in the U.S. Make sure it specifically covers financial management and that your retirement plan administrators will actually honor it. Consider working with financial advisors who specialize in expat services. These folks deal with international account management every day and can help you navigate the complexities. Before you move, consolidate your accounts if possible. Fewer accounts means less hassle and fewer potential access issues. And document everything. Keep detailed records of all your accounts, including contact information and beneficiary designations. Store copies both physically and digitally in secure, accessible locations. For long-term planning, many expats find it makes sense to keep their retirement funds in U.S. accounts. This allows for continued growth under U.S. legal protections, assuming you can maintain access. Tax treaty advantages can be huge here. If you're moving to a country with a favorable tax treaty, you might significantly reduce or eliminate double taxation on your retirement distributions. But here's the most important point. The intersection of U.S. tax law, foreign tax systems, and retirement planning is incredibly complex. Working with tax professionals who understand both sides is often essential, not optional. And please don't make major financial decisions during crisis situations without professional guidance. I get it. Sometimes life forces your hand, but reactive decisions usually result in higher costs and fewer options. Let me share some real challenges that expats commonly face based on what financial advisors who work with international clients tell me. The most common issues: losing access to accounts because of outdated contact information, getting hit with unexpected tax penalties from early withdrawals, and discovering that their financial institution basically has zero support for overseas clients. Some retirement plans will even restrict rollovers to IRAs if you have a foreign address. And the tax complexity of figuring out how distributions are taxed in both the U.S. and your new country? It's a nightmare without proper planning. But here's what successful expats do differently. They plan ahead. They establish relationships with expat-friendly financial institutions, maintain legitimate U.S. addresses, and work with qualified international tax professionals from day one. Okay, let's make this actionable. Here's your checklist. Before you move, research expat-friendly financial institutions and transfer accounts if needed. Set up a legitimate U.S. mailing address through a mail forwarding service. Switch to app-based two-factor authentication for all financial accounts. Assign power of attorney to someone you trust. Consult with tax professionals who know your destination country's tax treaty status. After you move, keep filing U.S. tax returns and comply with all foreign account reporting. Stay in regular contact with your financial institutions. Keep all your information current. Review your strategy annually with qualified professionals. Look, moving abroad doesn't mean kissing your retirement savings goodbye, but it absolutely requires careful planning and ongoing compliance with both U.S. and foreign requirements. Your 401k and IRA can generally be maintained from anywhere in the world, but the access methods, tax obligations, and reporting requirements will likely change. Tax treaties, proper documentation, and professional guidance can help you avoid costly mistakes and optimize your situation. If international relocation is in your future, start planning now. Don't wait for a crisis to figure this stuff out. Consult with qualified professionals who specialize in expat services and develop a strategy that protects your retirement security no matter where life takes you. Remember, this is educational content only. Your specific situation probably has unique factors that require personalized professional advice. If this video helped you out, smash that like button, subscribe for more financial planning content, and drop a comment letting me know where you're thinking about moving. I read every single one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.